I was thinking the other way over. Why we learn this every day and hardly anybody has a sefer. So what's up with this? You have a sefer? The answer is because I do very little inside the sefer. A little Shabbat.
It doesn't come in a single volume.
It doesn't.
Buy the whole set.
I would say select the whole set.
You don't like them?
I don't know. Are we going to get through the whole set? If we get through the whole set, I'll invest in it.
I just want to say, every sefer you have in your house, you're learning with me.
You would be to the right or left of the house. No problem. Yeah. Thank you very much. No problem.
Take an offer, so yeah.
Let's do this again. I want to have a little bit of a clear understanding. To be involved a little bit in the world of olamos and spheros and how they juxtapose. Just I'm asking, don't be intimidated by the idea. It's not. I was going to say it's not Kabbalah. It is, but it's not. It's just the beginning. It's just an outside view. But the Hakdam, everybody knows that there are Arba Olamos. They are Abiyah, Atzilah, Briah, Yetzira, Assiah. The important thing about the Arba Olamos, for the most part, the ones we're osik in the most, is Atzilus and Assiah. Why? Because God lives near Atzilus, and we live, so to speak, and we live in Assiah. So those are two places that we're familiar and we think we're familiar with. What's going on in Briah Yetzira, nobody knows. That's but we do know that everything that's created in the world, both during the Sheshis and Mebrachis and the Geil and Yonenu, and everything that's created all the time, as the Nefesh HaChaim is Meirach, that there's a Ram, Chadish, B'Tzulei B'Choyim, Ma'aseh Bereshis, is going through this. This is the backroom information. It's going through this process of Atzilus, Briah, Yetzira, Assiah, which in simple English means that it's taking form. Form is interesting because we see such distinction in our world, in the world of Assiah. And if we're doing our world as humans, we're making it even more distinct, separating things even more. We don't even mix milchiks and fleishes. We don't mix wool and linen. Everything is sorted out. We don't mix Jews and Gentiles. In certain cases, we don't even mix Kohanim and Yisraelim. We don't even mix Shvatim. We're very careful about what we mix because it's a world of distinction. Not everybody can marry everybody. Not everybody should be with everybody. It's very careful. We're very careful. Everything is distinction, and then when we learn Torah, everything is distinction. I said to you last time from the Mishmaris Chaim, Nischalchu b'dineim. You're an Amar, it's everything is one, Zelbazach, everything's the same thing. This reminds me of that, and that reminds me of this, and everything's one big wart. Everything's one big, Vayada Shel Torah. But if you're a Lamdan, you realize everything is, if you're talking to a real Lamdan, a Gadol, and you say a Svara, which you're mixing two things together, which don't belong together, like you look like you just caused them a heart attack or something. How can you mix two things together? So as things are being created, Atzilus, Briah, Yetzira, Assiah, taking form, it's important to understand for everything that we're going to be learning and everything that we've learned, that form means distinction. Is that right? If you just see something from far away, you see a group of people. Okay, you're looking from an airplane. You see a group of people. You see 1,000 people, 50,000 people. You get up close, you see people. You get very close, you see now he's happy, now he's sad. So the closer you are to the situation, the more distinction you'll see. If you're a big scientist in the laboratory, so you're splitting the atom. Distinction, and by splitting the atom, you're saving the world or blowing up Hiroshima or whatever you're doing. But the distinction is everything. In other words, that was almost like a finality of a certain part of the creative process where you can be so distinct. You can be so distinct.
So it's our job to recognize the distinction.
Distinction. And to make the distinction, recognize distinction, make the distinctions where necessary, divide out the pieces. It's full of machlokes, though. It's a dangerous place to be. But that's the world of Assiah that we live in. With distinction, you have Malchus. The Malchus is in the world of Assiah. Ein melech b'lo am. So when you have distinction, kol haneshama ta'alelka, every different kind of neshama, every different kind of person, every different, right, if you look in the Tehillim, the trees are Mahalal Hashem. Every single, right, every blade of grass is Mahalal Hashem. Everybody quotes the beautiful Rav Kook, where he was walking with somebody, and the person he was walking with is Talmud here in Yerushalayim, and the fellow his soul felt so poetic walking with Rav Kook, walking with Rav Kook. So he saw a flower, and he picked the flower, and he showed it to the Rav, like how beautiful the Briah is. And the Rav Kook admonished him, and he said, "Why are you stopping a flower in the middle of saying Shira? What are you picking the flower for?" Kol haneshama ta'alelka. Kol haneshama is people, obviously, Jews, Gentiles, but it comes together with the distinction. The beauty of it is, it's like a symphony, like a philharmonic. Everybody's playing exactly the same tune. Everybody's playing exactly the same thing, so it's not a symphony. It's just loud. If every one of the instrumentations is playing its piece, that's Lam Natseach. Lam Natseach, Mishmar L'David.
Be in harmony.
In harmony. It could also be tremendous amount of dissonance involved. It could be very disgusting. This is when things are not mixing correctly. So when you're sitting at the symphony, this is what you're supposed to be thinking about. How if everyone's doing their job in exact timing, and exactly right, that's the most beautiful thing in the world. If there's any kind of a mess up at all, one guy can mess up the whole Briah over here in terms of distinction of art. Music is such a. That's why the Goin learned the Chachmas HaMusika.
Because we are in our house, each one of us can.
Yeah, and you could be Mosif, you could be Bakalka. Okay. So this is just in terms of introduction. This is the way the Oilamos work. So let me just be Mosif this part. That Atzilus Assiah, top bottom. In the middle is Briah, Yetzira. Briah, incidentally, is the world of nefashos, the world of neshamas. That's where that starts. Bereishis bara Elokim. So the Briah, as we know it, started from the world of Briah. Bereishis bara Elokim. And there was choshech al pnei time. At that point in creation and history, is choshech al pnei time. Yotzer or uvorei choshech. Meaning, what does choshech mean? What does it represent? What does it mean to you? You don't see distinctions. What does or mean? You can tell the difference. When are you allowed to daven in the morning? How do you know it's morning? When you see your friend that you know, and you can tell him from your other friend. When you can see your friend, you can see another person.
Green and blue.
Or tchelis. It talks to my heart to say you can't daven until you can see somebody else. Distinction. You're an individual. I'm an individual. Let's daven. That's the haskola of daven. So what's happening is Atzilus Kulo Yachad. We have no hasaga really in Achdus Hashem. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That's Echad. That's the Emes. The Emes is Echad. Then there's the creation. And the creation starts with the Bereishis bara Elokim, and what's the whole Briah? Vayavdil, 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 Vayavdil. 12 Vayavdils. 7 days. Or Choshech Mayim and Aretz. This plant, that plant, everything is being separated, distinguished. That's the world of Briah, where there's like this Irvu, Bereshis Bar Elokim, a lot of Midas in there. And then it starts to the world of Yetzira. Yotzir or Uvorei Choshech, right? And Osa Shalom is the Shechina. It's the Assiah of the Shechina of Malchut. So, what's happening, this is what's important, what's happening in Briah and Yetzira, those two in-between worlds, is distinctions, divisions, nefashos, neshamas. You have the backroom information, from the Arizal. We know that the whole world, in the world of Briah, began. All of us began with one big neshama klali. And it was in the world of Briah, getting into the world of Yetzira, where everything gets distinguished. Okay, now there's men, and there's women, and there's Jews, and there's non-Jews, and this half goes with that half. And look, if you imagine in your mind for a minute that this big, I'm saying, well, the Sabar is always, and I'm not saying this is the way it is, but imagine like this big neshama gets busted up into pieces, into all of us, and now you have pieces of a puzzle that have to be brought together. Pieces of the puzzle have to be brought together as ish v'isha, two halves of a neshama, as people like to say. There can't be sinas chinam. There has to be shalom. But with the shalom at the bottom of this process is putting the puzzle together. And the sinas chinam, when you put the puzzle together, you have shalom, you have shechina, you have beis hamikdash, you have geula. When somebody's breaking apart pieces of the puzzle, you have korban beis hamikdash. So you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together is in a lot of different ways. When the geula comes, you can understand the puzzle of history, but it's also the puzzle of Pirud. So where the Alma de Pirud is all working together, let's put it this way, you have a symphony. So the Beis HaMikdash is created, you have a symphony. You don't have a bunch of different instruments. Yeah.
This is so similar this is so similar to gestation. It starts from one cell coming together from two parts, and then it progressively divides up and individuates. I'm just wondering, did the Mukubal make a parallel? Do you know about that?
Mukubal all make a parallel.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a mashal or that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the mashal of the Mukubal.
How do we explain that it did us many more neshamas?
What? I'm sorry.
We have many more neshamas today in the world, since we have more people in the world.
As Mashiach comes,
more division?
There's more and more distinction. Distinction leads to division, makes the challenge of Achdus so much more.
But when Mashiach comes, we'll all be on the same page.
Same page, Shalom. Osa Shalom. So
what's Leida? You have the fully formed.
Oh, hold your muscle.
Okay.
When you hold your muscle. Let's just learn here for a second. Open to the page. Here's something we're familiar with. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Okay, onto itself you have the Arboy Lammos right there. Just in time. Asher bidvaroi. Let's talk about Hashem. Asher bidvaroi ma'ariv aravim. New translation. With his words, he was ma'ariv aravim. Say it every night.
Mixed up.
Ma'ariv aravim. He mixed the mixed.
Distinction.
No distinction. Yeruv.
Mixture.
You're reading here or you're reading here? I'm talking. Asher b'dvarav ma'ariv aravim. Say with
The
me.
literal translation.
No, because you're further. Asher b'dvarav ma'ariv aravim means what? He's ma'ariv aravim. He's mixing everything together. Everything is mixed.
Mixing the mix.
Yeah, mixed shiba mixed.
Yeah.
It's the mixed shiba mixed. Ma'ariv aravim. Erev Tov. Wonderful mixture.
Good mixing.
Erev Tov. Wasn't good luck. It's a big mixture. What's mixed over here? What's mixed? Delilah. Yotzir or Ubarei choshech. There's no clarity in the world of Briah. There's no clarity b'layla. There's no clarity ba'erev, because everything is mixed up. There's no distinction ba'erev. So everything's mixed. People are mixed. Midas hadin and midas harachman are mixed. Everything's mixed. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. As on night we're saying, MS, we believe, v'emunah. Not like the morning where we say MS v'yatziv, everything is clear. L'hagid ba'boiker chastecha v'emunascha b'leilas. So l'hagid ba'boiker chastecha v'emunascha b'leilas. Laila is a time of emunah because you don't see distinction. It's a scary thing. When you're walking in the dark, you don't know who is who. You don't know what is what. You're walking in the dark. You don't know if it's a friend or a foe or a pothole. You don't know what's going on.
Is there a difference between Erev and Laila?
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I'm thinking, well, he's alive. I just remember once taking this vacation in New Hampshire years ago. It's a big rope hangout, New Hampshire. And we were taking, it was in this beautiful rural area. Not that it was in a beautiful place, but the place, the Buckle was beautiful. And I remember I was trying to get in shape, so I was taking this walk every night. So I'm walking on this very, very dark road, late at night. I was taking this walk, and in New Hampshire it's full of moose. A lot of moose. What's the plural of moose? Moose. There you go. What's the singular of moose? Moose. Okay, strange animal right away.
And deer.
There's moose, you have in the highway, deer crossing. You go to New Hampshire, moose crossing, pictures of moose. It's great, there's moose. So they can hurt you, these moose, if you scare them. Deer run away. So I'm just taking this walk, and I see in the distance, you can hardly see because it's dark. I see in the distance this moose, and it's staring at me. And I thought if I walk by quietly, it won't bother me. So I keep on walking, and then I'm getting scared because the moose is like walking towards me, and I'm all alone over here. And if this moose kills me, nobody will know for days. and I'm walking, and then I decided this is not a smart thing to do. Let me go turn around and go back. So I turn around to go back, and no other moose. But I'm thinking, should I run? And the moose is going to run after me. Should I walk? What should I stop? I was really nervous. I was really scared. This was like a traumatic 45 minutes of my life until I got home. And I was telling my wife the story, and then in the morning I got up to go to the shul. It was a stop sign. Okay, so Mari Varavin. Mari Varavin. During the day it's a stop sign. Night it's a moose. No. The Mazikim B'Layla. Like very so it's good. Stop sign. Okay, anyways, but Asher B'Dvarai, so when Hashem created the worlds, Mari Varavin. Now he starts to create the world. Here we're talking about introduction. Briah of the world. Briah of the world. What we have here is Borei Yom V'Layla. In the world of Briah, you have a Borei Yom V'Layla. There was a Briah of Yom V'Layla. It means an Eruv. Mari Varov. Borei Yom V'Layla. But what did he do with it? Golal or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. He rolled away the choshech and brought in the or. He rolled away the or, brought in the choshech. Oh, things are looking cool here. Like you have this world where the choshech is coming, the or is going. It's the world. The sun is cycle. Golal or mipnei choshech, choshech mipnei or. Ma'avir yoim u'mevi loylo. So two separate things, right? By or v'choshech, there's a goylo. And by Yom V'Layla, there's a Mavir. Let's keep that in background for a second.
Mavir of mix or passing?
No, not Mariv.
Oh.
Mavir. Mavir Yom U'Mevi Layla.
Okay.
One is golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. Let you be b'dayik. I just want to point out that this is a very interesting bracha to go over quickly. Golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or umavir yoim umevi laila, and then finally umavdil bein yoim uvein laila Hashem tzvakoy shemoy. Here we conceive the distinction happening. So what this whole bracha of Ma'ariv and the whole tefillah of Ma'ariv and the whole bracha of Erev Tov, which probably the correct answer when somebody says Erev Tov is to say Amen. Thank you, wonderful, Erev Tov. So Erev Tov, I know Rav Ruderman, when people would say to him Boker Tov, he would say Amen. No, that was his minhag. So Erev Tov, also Kal V'chomer, I'll make a Kal V'chomer. Erev Tov, it's turning into Mavdil Ben Yoim Leil. So here's the Havdalah of the Briah which is taking place. The Havdalah takes place in the world of Yetzira. I'm telling you. So where we have is at the beginning of this verse, Boire Yoim V'Laila is the world of Briah. By the time we get to Golel or Mnei Mavir Yom Mevi Laila, the Kubalim say the Mavir we find B'chol Tanakh Kula is the world of Yetzira. In Shachris we say it Mefurish. Yotzer Ar Uborei Choshech. In Shachris we say it Mefurish. Here it's a Mavir Yom Umevi Laila. Mavir and Mevi. Mavir and Mevi. Umavdil Ben Yom Ben Laila. So suddenly we thank Hashem for having a distinction between night and day. Hashem Tzvakoy Shemoy. Now we can start to see. What do we see? We're seeing the Ar Haganus that was tied up in the Ra before. It was all mixed up before. It's like life. Everything's all mixed up. You don't see it. Ar Haganus. If there's a silver lining, so we don't see it. It's hard to see the Ar. The Ar is Ganus when it's in this matter play. But now Ma'ar Yom Mevi Laila, Ma'avdil Ben Yom Mevi Laila. We have already a Mavdil Ben Yom Mevi Laila. Hashem Tzvakoy Shemoy. We can see Hashem Tzvakoy, one of the few, not the only one of the few Shemus, which is in the Lashon of Asid, but Hashem Tzvakoy, which talks about the world of Malchus. Tzvakoy. Tzivois Hashem. Tzvakoy. I'm not sure. Now we say peculiarly, Kel Chai V'Kayom Tamid Yimlei Chaleinu Li'olam V'ed. So we've come to a place of Malchus. Once there's distinction, Ein L'chadas Havdalah Minayim. Once we come to a place of distinction between Yom, V'Laila, and everything else that gets distinguished, now we can start doing Malchus. Malchus. If you plant two seeds that are not the same together, sometimes you have kloyim. But now that we're planting a stemach David Abdecha, we're seeing clearly who's who and what's what, and who's David and who's Reuven and who's Levi, and what's going on in the world, and what's Toiv and what's Ra and what's my neshama and what's your neshama. Now we're seeing it clearly, and the closer we get to Mashiach, you can see this more and more clearly. Because we're talking about Erev Shabbos Mamash, like the end of the Briah. So now we can talk about Kel Chai V'Kayim. It just seems like it's coming from nowhere. Tamid Yimloi Chaleinu, let there be Malchus. So we came from Briah through this bracha. We came from Briah, Yetzira. What happens when you have Malchus? We say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We're makabel all Malchus Shemayim. If you look at Shachris, where you have the longer version, the Malachim are makabel one from the other. Makabel Daim V'Daim, right? All of this is talking about the distinctions. The distinctions that are taking place as the Briah is going on. What I want to bring out mostly right now is that the place of distinction, the main place of distinction is in the world of Yetzira. Yotzer, or that's where we can see the distinction happening, and until it comes into this world where we take that and ten l'chacham v'yichachem hay. So the place of distinction is the place of Yetzira. It's so interesting when we're makabel al malchus shemayim agav. After all of this, mind-boggling bracha of Hamar Varovim, Makabel Al Malchus Shemayim. What are we going back to? Shema Yisrael, Makabel Al Malchus Shemayim. Hashem Elokeinu, that whether it's Hashem, whether it's Elokeinu, Yisimidas HaRachamim, Yisimidas HaDin, it's all sorted out for us, God. So it's all sorted out. It's all clear. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That we're understanding of the world of Assiah, the Kabbalah's all Malchus Shemayim, is that we're understanding that the original Atzilus, where everything is Echad, before any kind of distinction, is right here, Hashem Echad. There's an Echad right here also, but this is a tough Echad. To make, I presume, like to have Shalom Bayis with your wife before you're created is probably easy, because like you're all one Neshama. When you're into two Neshamas, to move back, that's already Kabbalah. Somehow you got to say Kriya Shema. You have to say Kriya Shema. To bring the two things together, it's Nishpasha to bring two things together.
So is that the idea where there's a conflict between identity and bittul hayesh? Like a person wants to completely let go of their personality at times. Is that because that's the acknowledgement of the Shema? That's the unity in the Malchus?
The unity of Shalom, meaning the unity of Shalom needs Vitur. But that's already the Sarusa de Lusata. You say, Osa Shalom b'mromav, that's the Echad. Hu Yasa Shalom Aleinu. So the Shalom and the Shalom, what do you do when you're saying that? You walk back 3 steps. You take a step back. When you want Shalom, you have to take a step back. Why? Because if you're not willing to be Mavater, so then there's no way that we can get Shalom. You have Shalom, you have Shechina. You have Shechina. Shalom is the name of the Shechina. So close up. You have Shleimus. Shalom is the name of Shleimus. So the real pasuk, Yetzira, Or Ubarei Choshech. Ose Shalom Ubarei Sakol. The Briah, everything's in the Briah. Barei Sakol. Ose Shalom, in the world of Assiah, it should be Shalom. So we're praying for Shalom. This is what we're praying for. We're praying for the symphony of this world. So that's in the world of Olamais. In this world, what's the shirish of Ra? Let's test our knowledge. Where is there Ra? What's the shirish of Ra? Rav Tzadok speaks about the shirish of Ra.
In the world?
In the world of Briah. Why? Because Briah and Belayla. What about by Atzilus? It's Echad. Choman David Rahman Latava. If you can reach the world of Atzilus, the Hasaga, Gam Zulatayva.
It's only Yetzira that became its own entity.
That's right. Well, but in Briah was the Briah's Hara. And it's worse in Briah than it is in Yetzira, because that's the Sharish Hara, we really don't even see it. It's Or HaGonos. Right, so let me just draw a quick parallel here to what's going on while this is going on in the world. And that's the world of the Spheros. Now, the Olamis are Chayzer, the Spheros are Chayzer La'atzmam in every one of the Olamis. You do it. But for our purposes, it means that there's 10 spheres in Atzilus, 10 spheres in Briah, 10 spheres in Yetzira, 10 spheres. But for our purposes, let's look at the big picture, which is also true, the sort of global picture. The world of Keser is 10 spheres. Basara Mamaris Nivraha is 10 spheres. The world of Keser is the top 3 spheres. We have no real connection to them because it has very little to do with our tikkun. They're there as a Metzias. Asar Zebei Tshuva can hang the Eser spheres. But the world of Keser, it's even a machlokes what those spheres are. That's Kulei Echad, Kulei Toy. It's so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, but it's so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Keser, Mamash. It's so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we don't have Asaga. We don't mess with the Keser. But then comes Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hoy, Yisod, Malchus. Those are the 7 spheres of the spheres of Omer, let's say. When you talk about Chesed and Gvura, you're already in the world of Briah. This is the way it goes. The Keser is in the world of Atzilus, and Chesed, Gevura, the world of distinction, the world where you have Chesed, where you have the Shorish Hara. Gevura, we're saying Ra not because it's bad, but it's like Yetzira, Toiv Moed. Toiv Moed, the high level of Toiv. Ra doesn't mean bad. So this is where it's all dividing out in a way that we can. So it's Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hoid, Yisoid, Malchus. So you have that chart in your mind. So the world of division as we can understand it. The Briah is, of course, the Shorish of Ra. But where we start to see it divided out, Toiv v'Ra, is in Netzach and Hoid. Meaning, if the world, it's Yetzira. Netzach and Hoid is the world of Yetzira. As I state.
So what are the distinctions before? You have Chachma and Bina are still separating, so why isn't that
The distinctions we understand.
So Chesed and Gvur we don't understand either?
We can understand Netzach and Hoid. We can't understand Chesed and Gvur. Even Tiferes. Netzach is Hoid. Netzach and Hoid, realistically, what's Netzach? Torah. What's Hoid? Nevuah. This is something that we can already access. It's distinguished to the point. It's distinguished to the point where we can have some access to it. I was thinking this morning that this is here to be Mechaven the Shabbos, and when you're singing Zmiris Shalshudas, Kel Mistater v'Shafer Chevyon Aseichel Anela Mikol Rayon. This is a description of the spheros, which starts off with Kel Mistater v'Shafer Chevyon, so high, so hidden, Kel Mistater, so hidden Aseichel Anela Mikol Rayon, beyond comprehension, the top of the Keser. Ilos Ilos Muchtar the Keser Elyoid. When you're talking about Keser, it's Ilos Ilos. Seichel Hanela Mikol Rayim. Keser Yitnu L'cha Hashem. But we know that there is a Keser where everything is Echad. And then we go, this is Zmiris, which is very, very beautiful, written by Rabbi Avram Maimon, who was, by the way, a Talmudic of the Ramak. Talmudic of the Ramak. He was contemporary of the Arizal. In Sfas. But when he goes through the spheroids and compares them to the Alpha, it's just beautiful to read. It's just not for us right now. We say, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Mikel, Kamoy, Chesed, Gedolos, Avra, Yaakov, Noira, Sihilais. Who is Yaakov? Tiferes. So Yaakov, Avraham, Chesed. It's like this limitless tent open on all sides, universalistic, Oivdei Avodah Zarah, Tarach, Nimrod. Avraham was dealing with a world of complete chesed, whereas Yitzchak was mitzamtzing. So Yitzchak was mitzamtzing. We learned that even Avraham Avinu was having a difficult time with Yitzchak. Lu Yishmael Yichel Lefaneh. Like Yishmael is continue out the way of chesed. Yitzchak was tzimtzum, never went out of Eretz Yisrael. So that's Gevurah. Tiferes is Yaakov. Tiferes Yaakov. Kos Chusavois Yogid Aleinu. Okay, Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. We got through Chesed Gevurah Tiferes. Yogid Aleinu. What's next? Netzach Yisrael. Mitzar Seinu Ba'aleinu. Mibar goes Leinu V'Saleinu. La'aseach Hamlechas Beis Hashem. Give us Netzach. Netzach is Torah. In other words, take from all of that. There was no Torah by the Avos. Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov was no Torah per se. Different type of Nebuah completely. So come down into the world of Torah. So we're turning the page from Parshas Vayechi now to Parshas Shmos, where the beginning of Kabbalah HaTorah, Matan Torah, begins. Where the real distinction, we're holding now in Shmos, in the Shoivavim, we're holding now in Netzach, Yisoid, and Malchus. That's where we're holding. So we say like this is what I want to bring out. Miyamin u'mismol Yinikas hanavim. Yamin u'smol. Yamin u'smol is chesed, gvura, and what else? Netzach and Hoid. Right? Chesed, gvura. So we're doing Chatokas Adinim Tivaris. Back out here. Netzach, Hoid, Chatokas Adinim, Yisoid, Malchus. Netzach and Hoid, Yinikas hanavim. Miyamin u'mismol, Yinikas hanavim. Netzach v'Hoid, mehem nimtzayim. Because from the Yamin and the small comes the Netzach v'Hoid. Interestingly, Yachinu Boyaz, B'Shem Nikrayim. So Shlomo Melech built a Beis HaMikdash, and in the Mikdash he built two pillars, one connected Netzach, one connected Hoid, one on the right, one on the left, and the V'im used to hang out there and get Nevuah. What was interesting was, B'Shem Nikrayim, for some reason he decided to call them names. I don't know who calls a pillar a name. Yachinu Boyaz B'Shem Nikrayim. Decided to call them names. You're Yachin, you're Boaz. Pleased to meet you. He's got these two pillars, like two pillars. Were they going up? Were they going down? But they were the right and the left. Yinikas and Avim. V'chol banayich limudei Hashem. And now, from those two to come out, Kol banayich limudei Hashem. So we're having two things. Netzach is Mount Torah. Hoid is Nevuah. Yachin u'Boyaz b'Shem Nikra v'chol banayich limudei Hashem. Yisoid Sadik b'Shiva Nelam Ois Brisu Le'olam Ein HaBrachat Sadik Yisoid Olam comes a Sadik Midas HaYisoid Sadik Ata Hashem Noha Ke Malchus David Ushloimai, right? B'Torah She'Yitru La'imai. Now we're asking for Malchus, which is when all of that distinction, Yamin, who's small, come together in Yisoid, and Yisoid hits the ground in Malchus. So now we're being Mispalo. No, okay, Malchus David Ushloimai, right? Let's get the Malchus of David, Malchus of Shloimai, B'Torah She'Yitru La'imai, Knesses Yisrael, Kala Krua B'Ne'ima. Kala is the Makabelas of the Shechina. Chazak Miyached Ke'echad Eser Spheres. With the Beis HaMikdash, we could be Miyached Ke'echad Eser Spheres. So the Kabbalah is all what? Malchus Shamayim, which is Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Right. Chazak Miyached Ke'echad, but what a sophisticated echad this is. Chazak Miyached Ke'echad Eser Spheres, Miyached Aluf Yirem Oirais, Sapir Gizrosam, Yachin Miyirais Tikra V'Nasi Lefonech Hashem. This is a place to daven to Hashem. So that's what we say. Pay attention. Shalshut Kel Mistater is Mardik of an explanation of the. But the same thing, by the way, in Azamer B'Shvachim, and the same thing in Azamer B'Sudasa. Every Suda we do this, and it's old from the Arizal. It's not a recent thing. So the ikar, what I want to bring out here is that Hoid, Netzach and Hoid are the world of Yetzira, and says Reb Tzaddik, let's look at the Lashon over here. Al kol pan gam habriya de erev Shabbos kulay hachana v'tayreach l'tzarech haShabbos v'gam l'mala bel yonim came ba'olam ha'atzilus. The work of erev Shabbos, of going into Shabbos, gam l'mala bel yonim came ba'olam ha'atzilus v'hanefashos, which is the world of Briah. Shehei misham yesh hergish or the Shabbos gam be'erev Shabbos. So the tension that we're feeling on Erev Shabbos is like the tension of the first day of work. It's like going the right before you're going to the avoda, the moments before the race, the moments before Malchus, when we have all of the Briah separated, divided out, created for us. Everything is there together, and here we are on Erev Shabbos, and that's happening in Shamayim, in the oilam of Atzilus and the Fashis, which is Briah. Shehem misham yesh hergish or de Shabbos gam be'erev Shabbos, v'utzarech lebrias adam And the purpose of the Brias Adam at the end of all this is it's the Adam that can bring all this together, to get from Atzilus to Lo Yisayar. Umishamu Lamata, now we're at Atzilus and Briah. Let me just get the words here. Olam HaNefashos is in Briah. Mishamu Lamata Sheyesh Haschala L'Metzia Sharish Ra. In Yetzira is where we can start to feel the Ra. Hu Ganus. And the or is Ganus, Vinela, Kel Mistater. V'yesher Liskalois Ela B'Shabbos. I just want to start. I want to really learn this on Thursday, maybe, because it's more of an arichas. But let me just point out. Hod v'hadar levashta. Hod v'hadar levashta. What's hod? What's hadar? What are we talking about? What's hadar? It's not one of the spheres. Yeah. So hod, we know what hod is. That's not v'hod. We know Aaron HaKohen was hod. But he was going hod this way. He was taking the korbanos shluchah d'rachmana, shluchah d'dam. He's going this way also. He's taking averos, breaking it to korbanos, and reach nechayach l'Hashem. So this is like the transmission place, you know. These two, Yachin and Boaz.
Change place.
What?
Change place.
Change place. Stuff going on in Netzach and Hod.
Isn't that Moshe?
Moshe is hod.
Moshe's hod?
How do I know? It was Netzach and Hod. But how do I know? Because the Torah says so. That when he says Kachas Yeshua, V'nasata Mehodcha Alav. Mehodcha v'lo kol hodcha, says the Gemara. Can't give him the whole hod. But you cheap on the hod for. Nasata mehodcha v'lo kol hodcha. Moshe Rabbeinu had this hod. Hod, Tiferes, Hod Malchut. His hod. He didn't always have the hod, by the way. Moshe Rabbeinu went through a number of different stages in his life, you know, starting from Chesed, you know, where he was the civil rights worker there in Egypt, you know, couldn't handle the persecution of the Jews. And he got all the way to Malchus. But Hod was the place, Netzach and Hod was the place of transmission. This was the Moshe Rabbeinu who stood between us and Hashem, so to speak, to get the information, the Navi of all Naviim. No Navi can be bigger than Moshe Rabbeinu. Come be strong to Moshe Hod. There's nothing like Moshe in terms of, Moshe was Mamish Hod. Netzach was the Torah coming down. Hod was Moshe Rabbeinu. So it was very close. Netzach and Hod, but he was, comes Yoshua, you know, here's the picture, like, Yeshua was in the Machaneh, right? Like by the Milchama of Amalek, you know. So Moshe Rabbeinu was on the mountain, Hod, and he should have been Yisoid Yehoshua, but he was Hadar. It was nice. Nasata mehoidcha olav. Comes the Zohar and explains on that pasuk, Nasata mehoidcha olav, that the part of Hod that we can see is Hadar. Hadar means it's beautiful. So Hod is Pnimi, and Hadar is Kitzani. Baruch Nafshi es Hashem. So much to be medayik here. Baruch Nafshi es Hashem. Hashem Elikai, Gadal Tamoid. Hoid v'hadar levashta. Hoid v'hadar is the levush of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hoid v'hadar levashta. They're both chitzoni because they're further than. Hoid v'hadar levashta shehu hisgalus hasfiros v'ha'oros ha'yonai shehem ma'ate levushay. Hoid v'hadar levashta, in Hoid v'hadar, says the Malbim I'm reading from, Malbim and Tilab Kuv Daled. Hoid v'hadar levashta, that the first thing David HaMelech is pointing out here is Hoid v'hadar levashta, your levush is a levush of Hoid and Hadar, shehu hisgalus hasfiros. This is where we can start to see something here. is galus hasviras. V'ha'oirois ha'elyonim, shein ma'ata levusha, oita orka salma, shein ma'ata levusha. Sheba mislabesh kahaden kamsa de levusha mineyu bei, lahotzi yesh mi'ayin. It's a place where you can see creation taking place. It says the Malbim, yesh hebdel ben hoid ben hadar. But we need to know there's a big difference between, these are two levushim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's a big difference between hoid and hadar. Yesh hebdel ben hoid ben hadar. Shahoid upnimi mea hadar. Hoid is more pnimi than hadar. V'chein hoya, iris v'kelim, or makiv, or pnimi, neshama, neshama, neshama. Malbim. We're talking about hod, we're talking about closer. Neshama l'neshama. Neshama l'neshama, so we can understand the neshama, but the neshama l'neshama is even deeper. So Moshe Rabbeinu was hod, but nasato mehodcha, which was pnimi yoser, to hadar, which was Yeshua. Hadar means beauty. Like, think about, like, where does this come up in the Jewish mitzvos? Wakachta nochem, Yom Harishon, creates Hadar. It's like this is the only time, isn't it bothersome? Like the only time we're looking so much at the skin. It's a platul, a little spot. Is it a spot? Is it not? Is it a niklav? Is it not a niklav? What do you mean? The inside is the lave. This is the lave of the Arba Minim. What's up with the skin? Peel it, throw it away. Get rid of it. The skin is the hadar. Now, if it's not an esrog, then you could have the most beautiful skin in the world. It's a mannequin. If it is an esrog, then it can represent the lave. And it's not daikim murkav, which is interesting. It's a lave, it's a neshama, but we're looking at the hadar. So hadar without hod is garnished. So we talk about hider mitzvah. Hider mitzvah is the lashon of hadar. The mitzvah is the hod, but zakeli vanveyu. It's like it look nice. Nice tzitzis. Nice shots. Making something beautiful. If you get stuck on the hadar with no hod, so then you have the chitzonius without the pnimius. It's like having the skin stuffed esrog. You have to have an esrog. But it's hod v'hadar lavash. That's the order of things. We're going to learn more about Moshe and Yoshua, but I just want to say this nekuda here. Let me just leave you with this thought over time here. I mentioned before the halacha reish samach. What is it? Reish samach. The way the derech of tefillah, it says in Shulchan Aruch, is that you give hoidah and then you give tefillah. You never have hoidah without tefillah. It's very important to say thank you to Hashem, hoidah Hashem kitayv, but it has to be followed by ana Hashem Mashiach. Every time you find hoidah, you have to have a tefillah afterwards. She gave hoidah without tefillah. What's wrong with just saying thank you, period? It's a nice thing. Not thank you, but. It's not the derech eretz to say thank you, but. You know, say the minig Yerushalayim, you know, how are you? Baruch Hashem halavai vayter. Always the Kel Yeshua saying of Ezra saying so. Right after we're saying hoidah, we're always saying to. Very important. Otherwise, the Talmud miletus. Question of Shat, you learn that, look, if you're saying thank you and you're not asking about it, it means you're happy. Like you get smug in what you have. So the Talmud miletus. It's not. The words don't talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The words don't talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we understand that Hoid and Yisoid are in this world, and you want to bring it into the next world, the Isarusa de Lasata, so you say Hoidul Hashem Kitayv, but now what about Hakel Yeshua Seinu Vezra Seinu? Let's talk about the oilam of Assiah. Let's talk about the world of Malchus, where we need tefillah, where it's all about what we're doing, not about what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing. So let's take the Hoidul Hashem Kitayv and turn it into a tefillah of Ana Hashem Mashiach. So we don't want anything in this world that's coming into our lives, any blessing that's coming to our lives, to get stuck in the world of Hod. So you have here a tremendous avodah of Hodu L'Hashem Kitov, and I think this will synopsize everything that we're learning here, which is kind of complicated. I hope I made it clear, but it's complicated. Hodu L'Hashem Kitov means that we wake up in the morning and we're able to, first thing, Hanoisei Lasech Vivina Lahavchin Bein Yoim Uvein Laila. The first thing is we're thanking Hashem for divisions, Roika Ha'aretz Al Hamayim. We're thanking Hashem for the distinctions that He makes, and be able to see the toiv, which is in this Briah, when we wake up in the morning, Moida Ani Lefanecha Hod. Hod, Midah, Modeh, it all comes from the same midah of being able to see the toiv shebara in the irvo. So we're not saying Hodu L'Hashem Kitov only because we won the lottery. We're saying Hodu L'Hashem Kitov that I'm appreciating the Pokeach Ivrim, all distinctions. I'm appreciating the good things that happen to me as I open up my eyes in the morning. What a way to wake up. I don't know how Goyim can wake up properly. This is the way to wake up. Immediately we go into tefillah. So the avodah of Hodu L'Hashem Kitov that you have, the first thing you do in the morning is to Pokeach Ivrim. Open up your eyes and see some tov in the world, see some tov in the Briah, see what's going on. I'm awake. Is it a nice day? When I wake up in the morning, it's a nice day. Otherwise, I'm not here. When I wake up in the morning, it's already a nice day. The roof is still there. Well, it wasn't nuked. Everything's great. Hodu L'Hashem Kitov. It has to immediately, before you do anything else, has to be followed by tefillah. And the pshat is, not just because otherwise I'm smug with my hodah, but otherwise it's stuck in the world of Hod, and it never gets to the place of Yesod and Malchus, where things have to get to. But Tamar Leah, Hapam Oidas Hashem, she was on the high madrega, she sees the Hod. She sees the Hod Hapam Oidas Hashem, but Tamar Milat, it stopped there. The Lashon is so meduya. It stopped there because she didn't bring it further. She could have said is, now let me be mispalel. So right after Haidah, Mamish, the Shemayim is opened up for tefillah. So we say Haidah, Birchas HaShachar, we move into tefillah, where we can start asking Hashem for things. And not only we can, we should. This is what it's all about. So look at the sequence of tefillah. This is exactly what's happening. It goes all the way from Hod to Hadar, Lavashta. So this is Pnimi Yoser, the Hod is the Hiskalvos, so just at the bottom clear. Yesh Hevdol bein Hod, bein Hadar, Shahodu Pnimi Mea Hadar. What's who? Hiskalus Haspherois Va'oirois El Yonim Shema'at Lavusha. We're starting to see the Hod, that's Hodu L'Hashem Kitov. And we work all the way to Tzadik Yesod Olam, that's Tefillah, and Malchus, which we'll get further in understanding what the Tikkun of Shabbos is.
Not Shamayim Kairiyah. He opens this.
Open it up.
Yeah.
Why is Hod the end of Shemes? Why is Hod at the end of Shemes?
To get to it's Hod is at the beginning of Shemes also. Also, get the Zimra is Hod. Everything is Hod. But at the end, because it's Chazer al Atzma, we're all four elements. At the end is Hod, Sim Shalom. The ultimate is Shalom. Shalom is the Shalom. When you have Shalom, you have Malchus. Yes, Sim Shalom. When you have Shalom, you have Malchus. So we go from Haidah to a tefillah for Shalom. I'm bringing it from up to down into this world, into the base of Mikdash. Baruch Atah Hashem Baruch Samo Yisrael B'Shalom.
The etrog you were talking about in the Hadar, you didn't relate it to the Reach. I thought that's also from the skin. That's from the outside.
Reach is also Chitzai. Yarach is Reach B'Gadol. We need to get back to that.
Right.
The eyes on